All right, let's start. So, good morning, everyone, and a big welcome to this Ipsos webinar about Creative Labs, where we give the knowledge you need to strengthen your brand with real-time consumer insights. I'm your host and Senior Insight Consultant. My name is Gamze Öztürk. I hope you are comfortable seated and have filled your cup with a good coffee or tea, because over the next 40 minutes, I will guide you through how we at Ipsos can help you optimize your odds for success when it comes to developing creative campaigns. I'm pleased to have my two colleagues with me, Nicoline and Alexander. They will be with me behind the scenes. Their task will be to answer your questions during this session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to use our Q&A chat, and Nicoline and Alexander will be answering them continuously. If there are any further questions that we cannot answer during this session, I will personally follow up on them and respond directly to you after the session has ended. With that said, I think we should dive right to it. But first, why are we even talking about creativity? A Lion State of Creativity study in 2022 reveals that 67% of all marketeers believe that creativity is an extremely valuable competitive advantage, meaning that majority of you guys being here today with me agrees on that this indeed is an important topic. But when asked about how confident you are about convincing your CFO to invest in creativity, only 12% state they are extremely confident. So this is what we refer to as the creativity gap. And if you ever felt that you have a great idea but don't know how to convince your CFO to give you the budget that you need, then you guys should know that you're not alone. This is a very common issue. But this is why I'm here, why you are here. So hopefully when you leave this webinar, you will have more confidence in these discussions with your CFO, as you will know more about the value. So, as humans, we generally are creators of habit. We like to go with the flow, and we believe that by following the same behavioral patterns as the successful, we are likely to achieve success ourselves. This is why in the advertising world, we often see a cultivation of conformity. You surely know what I mean here. We've all seen those car ads with vehicles, cars driving along beautiful country roads on mountain tops. We all seen these cold refreshment ads where the cold is being poured into a glass with droplets on the glass. At Ipsos, we often talk about being a misfit. And for those of you, this might be a completely new phrase. But you will hear me talk about misfit through this presentation, as misfit is highly relevant for conducting great creatives. And the reason why I mention this phrase now is because misfit about daring to stand out against this comfort zone, to dare to stand out for all the right reasons, of course. But why is it important to be able to stand out? Why is it such an important thing to be a misfit? Well, based on Ipsos Creative Excellence meta-analysis, which consists of more than 2,000 cases, we know that if you think outside the conventional category advertising box, you will be much more likely to grab consumer attention. In fact, our study shows that those brands who are non-conforming, meaning those who stand outside the box, have a 21% likelihood of being in top quintile placement for brand attention, meaning they are the ones that are better when it comes to grabbing people's attention and being memorized in their memory. And we all know that the world outside is very crowded, and we are bombarded with ads and all sort of stimuli in general all the time. That's why it's important to stand out and being able to grab your consumers' attention. You can have the best product and the best brand and even the best message in the world, but if you fail to grab people's attention, then it's all a waste of money. However, brand attention is not the only crucial factor when you need to develop your creative ads. It is essential to create an impact. Every ad has a purpose: to shift consumer perception or to attract them more strongly towards making their brand choice. If your ad does not live up to the expectations of creating a true impact of your audience, then it's also all a waste of money. So avoid creating creative ads with just the hope for the best outcome. If you do not have any research behind it, you might risk too much. And if you invest in the Ipsos research that I will now present you in a bit, you can get validated KPIs that can help you predict the short-term choices and the long-term relationship building. So instead of hoping for the best, you will be able to make decisions based on a validated and strong background. Here is a typical question I often receive when we talk about Misfit. So how can we ensure that our creative advertising are effective? And this is where the Misfit answers. What you see on the screen now is our Misfit framework. It has been developed from the learnings Ipsos Global has achieved from meta-analysis and can be considered as a guide or helping hand on how to actually define effective creativity. It consists of 3 different parts. The first one, marked with the red color in the brain, as you see here, is about the creative experiences. This consists of elements that can help you developing ads that can strengthen the brand attention. This is about being able to stand out and be well memorized by people. Your ad needs to be unique. It has to be entertaining and also have surprising elements. The purple part is about the creative ideas. We know that strong Misfit ad as creative ideas makes the brand different. It needs to tell them something new, so the brand is going to be able to, through its communication, to shape people's expectations and differentiate itself. The green part in the middle of the brain represents empathy and fitting in. And even though it's illustrated as a brain, I like to consider it more as the heart of the brain. So your creative works needs to address the context of the people, the context of the brand, and making sure your brand is speaking and acting using empathy and connecting to people's challenges and offering meaningful solutions. This needs to be the heart of the effective advertising. And as you can see on the right side, you will notice that all 3 parts of the Misfit mindset have a correlation with the KPIs related to brand attention, short-term choices, and long-term relationship building. Not only do we see a correlation of the Misfit mindset to the KPIs, we can actually see a significant differences when we compare ads in our database. We do see that those ads who perform poor on creativity and empathy are 20% below the average performance on the creative effect index, which is a KPI validated to sales uplift. So with a more common language, this means that ad who does not perform on the Misfit elements are performing much lower than the average ad. We do see that ad who performs highly on creativity but low on empathy are becoming better, but still 20% lower than the average ad. If the rank switches and the ads are performing strong on empathy but low on creativity, the ads will be 4% better than the average ad. The real magic happens when ads are performing strong on all the elements in the Misfit mindset, as we see that advertising that entertains, shows something new, and has empathy for the audience, reflecting their world, their dreams, their challenges, having a 20% stronger performance than the average ad. When it comes to memory encoding, the parts from the Misfit mindset are ranked in this order for linear TV, meaning the creative experience is the most important part when it comes to having a strong memory encoding, followed by empathy, and lastly, creative ideas. This has to do with the format, of course. People are watching TV in general to be entertained, but what happens when the format changes and we are now going on social media? Here we see that empathy is outshining the creative experiences. To understand the differences, we need to understand the different needs of the platforms. People on social media are there for another reason. Of course, they also are there to be entertained, but our study reveals that people use these platforms very much to connect with other people. They follow friends and family members and content creators they like and can relate to, which is why the empathy is filling up much more importance. And why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because we know that the media spend increases yearly on social media. So we know that brands are investing a lot of ads spent on these platforms. And this is just to emphasize the importance of focusing on empathy even more. So empathy is indeed essential for advertising effectiveness. We need to ensure that people get the brand and that the brand gets the people. One ad I would like to highlight is from Volvo, and it takes a very different human approach than the examples I referred to at the beginning, where we can see the story focused mainly on the people they want to appeal to. In this case, new parents. And the car is the enabler of them having a better life, and in this case, literally saving their lives. I'm showing you this example as this example is an example of a creative ad that excels in both short-term choices and long-term relationship building. And I just need to ensure that I am sharing with the sound for you guys to watch it. All right, here it comes.
Every morning past 4, you hear the cook on the floor. It's times in the mill, my love, hard in the mill. Every morning, just about to get up, dead or alive, it's hard mill, my love, hard times in the mill. Every morning, right at 6, that old bell make you sick. Hard times in my love, hard times in the mill. Every morning past 4.
All right. So if you're like me and have small children, you probably also got the goosebumps after watching this ad. And I would like, and this is not only me telling you, because as you can see from the reactions that we receive from the audience, you will notice how many of them are tapping into the empathy part. You will see that people have, I'm just reading out a few quotes that I find very relevant for this case. So here's a person that writes that the advertising was entertaining and I could recognize myself in some aspects. Another person writes, it fits well with my general perception of Volvo. Another writes, I can relate as a parent of young children. And lastly, it is a good, important health function with the lane assist, especially for tired people. So this just shows and highlights the importance of empathy, that whenever we can actually tap into this and when we can show people that we understand them and can relate to their real life circumstances and also emphasize with them, we will have a very, very strong impact at the end. So when you know your destination, which is getting effective creatives, one question remains: how to get there? What is the best way to develop, nurture, and cultivate misfit creativity and ideas? And this is why we are here. So this is what I would like to dive into to talk more about how we can come there. If you look at it, you can say that it's quite a journey. So you have to do, you have quite a bit of steps to go through in order to be successful and reach your ultimate goal, which is to air Misfit creative work. You need to have a proper brief, communicate the strategy, develop the scripts for different routes, making animatics, and produce the final ad and then go live. So there's a lot of steps in here. And as you see here, they all are part of different materials throughout the process. When when we know that this journey is difficult, we also know that it can make a change and a difference if you take it early. We know that on average, that when you have an ad that benefits from early campaign research, it has the potential to be 48% more effective on the KPIs that we measure. So we know that the journey makes a difference and research can play a role. One of the greatest dangers you can face in the creative journey is misalignment. Misalignment of your team, your stakeholders, your agency. It will make you lose time, money, and creative quality. And Ipsos research can help you find a way collaborating as one team throughout your creative journey and has developed different solutions to optimize your odds for success based on where you are in your journey. And since we all know that we need to start with empathy and that we need to start early, I will dive into our Creative Lab solution. So Creative Labs refers to the earliest test of your creative ideas. And I will now present how you can benefit from this solution and gain valuable insight to strengthen your creative campaigns. The solution here offers a wide range of advantages. The most important thing to remember is that Creative Labs is a live event day, which can be considered as a workshop where we invite your customers into our virtual space. So instead of holding on to a lot of hypotheses and opinions about the developed ideas, you now have the chance to invite your customers and hear live how your ideas resonate with them. So firstly, Creative Labs gives you the opportunity to gain total understanding, the ability to get a deeper grasp of the creative idea. It's about better sensing if the path you plan to take aligns with your target audience. It's a method that has the best of both worlds in research, as we gather both quantitative and qualitative data. So you get data in real time, a dashboard overview, and can dive into online discussions with your customers. And ultimately, this will benefit your return on investment. Furthermore, it's a method that offers the chance to nurture collaboration. And what do we mean by this? So, well, we are fully aware that developing creative ideas can involve many decision makers and stakeholders. It's usually a collaboration between the company, the marketeers, insights people, and creative agencies. And we invite all your stakeholders to the Labs Day, the workshop day, so everyone can see and hear how respondents, your target audience, react in real time at the same time. So this way there's full transparency and everyone can discuss insights as they come in. So this means there will be far less back and forth and you can use the Labs Day to make your decision. Additionally, it's also a quite flexible solution that allows us to test creativity all the way down to an idea level. You don't have to invest a lot of money in developing tons of materials. Something as simple as an idea written in black on a white paper can be tested. And we hold it as a workshop so everyone can leave the workshop, the Labs Day, with a shared debrief. So in practice, I will now present how a typical Labs Day looks like. We naturally start by welcoming you and your stakeholders to the room. We can all sit together physically in a room, or there is always the option to participate online on the day itself. And this is also possible whenever we see that people are working remotely across the globe. So we can also do a mix of both. Then we invite 50 people who represent your target audience into an online survey at the same time, and we can follow their responses to the questions together. After this, we invite 6 people from this group to participate in an online focus group to really understand the why in more depth. And if I'm your host at that event, Labs Day, I will be the one that it will be reporting on what we see from the quant side from the first session. And when we go into our online focus groups, our moderator will interview them live for 1.5 hours while we all watch, enabling us to get answers to some of our hypotheses. Once this is completed, we perform the same exercise again with 50 new people. And the reason we do this in 2 rounds is that we often test several ideas, and by rotating the order of idea evaluation in multiple rounds, we can avoid bias in their responses. When these 2 rounds are successfully completed, we conduct a collective debrief together with everyone in the room. So we analyze and discuss together, and you will leave with a wealth of new knowledge about your customers and your ideas. And we have worked with many different clients, and our impression is that labs seem to be very engaging and fun, and our clients love it. So I just want to point out a few of my favorite quotes from Danske Bank and Suntory. So we have a quote here from the chief consultant in marketing in Danske Bank, who says, Ipsos is an extremely competent dialogue partner. We get detailed results on highly relevant recommendations to the strengthening of the campaign. From the first rough idea to the fine-tuning of messages and use of creative element to the tracking and results from the final campaign. We also have another quote from the global marketing director in Beam Suntory, who says, it is so engaging, I felt like I was watching soccer, but for Marketeers. And personally, I found this a very, very funny and quite spot on quote. But we have also worked with recently we have concluded a collaboration with Carlsberg, where we had the pleasure of providing them with insights on their creatives. We utilize creative labs to get up very close with their consumers. And I'd like to take this opportunity to share a short video from Michelle Larsen, who is the senior brand manager for Carlsberg. So let's hear what she has to say about creative labs.
It was with very big strategic insights, but was a very small micro adjustment, super valuable for us. Ipsos tool really strong, where we have the integration of the quant, the qual, the last of the digital dashboard, which really easy to work, also makes the process much.
And think a shout out to Michelle here. This was a very, very lovely quote, a lovely video from her. So we also understand that the research industry might have a reputation for being judges. And for that reason, it's an active ambition of ours to promote creativity instead of limiting it. So that's why we are very, very delighted when we hear from agencies, creative agencies, about how these studies with creative labs actually assist them in their work. And I just want to highlight 2 quotes here from the agency part. And the first one is from Accenture Song, the group client director. In a complex area, often governed by emotion and subjective gut feelings, we get a common validation of the creative work. It is difficult to do anything other than listen, especially to the quantitative part of the test that shows immediate and instinctive reactions of consumers. And another quote here from the creative director, partner Yellow Umwelt, even the quant part was exciting. And this is also a very quite funny quote, I believe, because you might have the feeling that they do not participate or at least like or enjoy looking at numbers so much. But this is very funny. But to conclude, I'd like to show a short video featuring Jakob Bohm, who is a creative director at Yellow Umwelt. He was also part of the study that we conducted alongside Carlsberg. And I just want you to listen to him talking about his experience with creative labs and to get his point of view from a creative agency's point of view.
Working with Ipsos is because they have a lot of respect on what we do as they listen, and they try to give us feedback on that. working with these different live. I think it's the first time that quantitative has been that interesting, because the last gave us answers instantly. Amazing.
And also a shout out to Jakob Bohn here. Thank you for that very, very nice video here. All right.
Working with.
So, and that was what I had for you guys today. I hope that you leave with the key points that effective creativity can be achieved by designing your creative campaigns from a misfit mindset, which emphasizes the importance of starting with empathy. You can achieve 48% more effective campaigns by including early research in your development process, and Creative Labs can significantly aid you in this by including customers in a live session with your stakeholders. I can see we received some questions, and I promise to follow up on those that still lack answers. So you will hear from me. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to me. And you're very welcome to connect with me also on LinkedIn. Here are my contact information. Thank you guys for today. It has been an absolute pleasure being your host today, and I just wish you all a great day. Goodbye.